Here's the deal, folks. You can't create culture. This little session I'm calling Hearts, Habits, and How Things Are Done Around Here. So after the questions, how do I make more money and what can I do to free up more of my time? One of the questions I'm asked most often in my coaching practice is, how do I create great culture? My simple answer to my clients and to you is that you can't. You can't make culture happen. It just happens. Culture is like a chain reaction, right? It's the manifestation of what you as the leader hold to be true, to be valuable, and to be rewarded. It's basically your leadership values externalized. So put another way, culture is a result. Okay, it happens whether you want it to or not. So having said that, with clear intention and the right actions, you do have the ability to strongly influence the culture of your organization. Culture is nothing more than a byproduct of consistent action that people believe in, that the organization has adopted as a desired behavior. So I call this the Hearts, Habits, and How Things Are Done Around Here concept of culture. So let's start with hearts. Hearts is this concept of know, like, and trust. So first of all, the culture of your organization is built and owned by the people that work in your organization. If you're a very small business, that might mean it's just you and maybe an assistant. But as you get bigger and you add on more employees, there are more and more influences on your company culture, and it becomes more and more important for you as the leader to have an influence on those people if you want to have any chance to shape the culture of your company. This means that they must know you, they must like you, and they must trust you. It's impossible to influence people if those conditions don't exist. So the best way to get people to know you, like you, and trust you is to speak directly to their hearts. And in order to do that, you need to know what drives them, what inspires them, and makes them happy. Most importantly, though, you need to stop assuming you know what makes them happy. Let me tell you a little bit of story about a client. I had a client once that considered himself to be a fantastic leader. He even considered himself or compared himself to Bill Belichick, the legendary head coach and general manager of the New England Patriots, who I believe, by the way, is one of the great leaders of our time, but not maybe for the reasons that my client did. So much of the time, my client was an inconsistent, bombastic ass of a man when dealing with his people. And his high turnover rates and his lack of performance in the job proved that his people hated him. Okay? Now, when I asked him what he admired about Bill Belichick, he told me that he loved the coach, that he was a hard ass, that he held his people accountable, that he ruled with an iron fist, and he loved the idea of the hard-driving, take no shit, burn the boats approach that he thought Bill Belichick personified. And he did everything in his power to act like Belichick. So you can imagine the look on his face when I shared with him that while Bill Belichick is undoubtedly a strong leader who probably did do all of those things, what really made his people perform well, what made them happy, was the fact that he was consistent. His players may not always have liked his decisions, but they always liked him. They knew who the coach was because he was always the same person. He didn't change the rules or let up on his principles because he didn't feel like it. He was consistent. They liked him because he wasn't wishy-washy. He was relentlessly and obsessively focused on the tasks at hand. They trusted him because he always did what he said he would do, and he expected the same from his people. And these three things are what made them happy, and it's what spoke to their hearts. They knew him because he was always the same person. They liked him because he wasn't wishy-washy, and they trusted him because he always said what he'd do. That's the hearts piece. Second piece is habits. Habits, we have to remember that we are what we do. So here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to put away the mission statements and the guiding principles unless you are ready, and I mean really ready, to abide by them. If you are not ready to abide by them, and if they're nothing more than platitudes, your people are never going to adopt them. There's a quote from Aristotle that says, or it's commonly attributed to Aristotle, that says, "We are what we consistently do." And that perfectly defines culture to me. Your culture is a collection and a personification of the habits that your organization adopts. If you consistently treat customers as if they're nothing more than numbers, then your organization is not customer focused. If you pay the lowest wages possible for your people, or you don't provide a great work environment for your employees, then people are our greatest asset is actually not a maxim that you live by. If you artificially inflate the process, inflate the price of your products because our customers won't know any better, then you don't have integrity that you put up there as a guiding principle on your wall. As a leader, you can consider yourself both the creator and the keeper of the habits in your organization. If you are consistent, then your organization will be consistent. If you are inconsistent, then your organization will be inconsistent. Now, on the other hand, if you are relentlessly focused on doing a small number of things over and over again, if you are focused on being consistent, your organization will also become consistent. Behaviors form habits, habits drive culture. So the easiest way to incorporate habits into your organization is to introduce new behaviors one or two at a time, and then focus single-mindedly on expressing and reinforcing each behavior on a daily basis until it becomes something that the team simply embodies. It's now a habit. Then you're going to pick a new behavior or two and do the same thing with these behaviors while you regularly check in on the original set of new habits. If you do this consistently over a year, and you can successfully implement dozens of desired habits each year in your organization. These new habits become your new culture. So the first is hearts, the second is habits. And the third is how things are done around here. And I call this training for results. So if you don't know exactly how you want your organization to behave, then people have no chance whatsoever in helping you achieve your goals. This is where these documented systems and procedures come into play, and where a strong training program is absolutely paramount to success. And I'm not talking about an employee handbook. I've got so many clients who've written employee handbooks. They send them home with their new employee hire on the first day of the employment. They require them to sign it, and then they never look at it again. I'm talking about real-life, practical, standard operating procedures that are posted for all to see, that are regularly referenced, and that your staff are regularly trained and evaluated upon. So lots and lots of small business owners have created SOPs for their organizations, and they pride themselves on having these amazing, robust operating manuals, right? They require their people to read the procedures, and some even teach them how to perform them. But few, if any, including my clients, actually regularly train and test their people until they are experts on the procedures that they have put into their manuals. This is the difference between telling, teaching, and training your people. Telling is literally that, talking at your people about what they should do. Teaching, much better step, is the act of showing someone what to do, and in some cases maybe watching that they do it right once or twice. But training is where the rubber meets the road. It's the process of consistently teaching and evaluating your employees' performance over time to ensure that the process or the system is not only understood, but it's also acculturated. It has become a habit of the organization. So with that, guys, you can't create culture. But by using some of the techniques here, you may be able to strongly influence the way that your company operates. So let's review the three things again, okay? Hearts, habits, and how things are done. Hearts. People need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. Habits. We are what we do. We have to create consistent habits that we do over and over again if we want our people to do the same thing. So we must create habits in the organization. And how things are done here, we must actually train for results. Not just tell, not just teach, but actually train. All right, guys, that's it for this week. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.